The number one objection I would say that come from people today in terms of whether the resurrection of Jesus actually happened is we look and we say, are miracles possible? You know, maybe you've never had an experience of the supernatural. And you say, well, are miracles even possible? Do supernatural things occur? You haven't experienced them. Science can't prove the supernatural. And that seems to be, at least in Western culture, the number one hesitation about believing that Jesus rose from the dead. Now, maybe if you've been brought up in Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia, you would look and say, well, no, I do believe these things happened, but I don't believe Jesus rose from the dead because I'm a Muslim and the Quran says he didn't rise from the dead. You know, so you might have a different kind of objection. But in Western culture, it's okay. The reason a lot of people don't believe is these things just don't happen. So I do want to spend a moment and talk about the supernatural and miracles, because I do think it provides perhaps some background knowledge. I think I've experienced the supernatural. I mean, I could talk about some radically answered prayer in my own life. I could talk about some really weird stuff, paranormal stuff that I think I've experienced. And maybe some of you are thinking right now, yep, I know what you're talking about. It's kind of frightful. Yeah, I'm 54 years old, and I'll tell you from some of the stuff, paranormal stuff that I've experienced, like when I was a teen, even to this day, if I'm in the house alone, there's a light on when I go to bed at night. It's just serious, you know, because of some of the stuff that I experienced of the paranormal things, what I would interpret as demonic when I was a teenager. I did not experience this, but I'll tell you about a guy named Bruce Grindle, an anthropologist, PhD in anthropology, taught anthropology as a professor at Florida State University. You've heard of Florida State University up here at OSU, right? You like the Seminoles, right? So, professor of anthropology down there, atheist, and he went over to Ghana back in 1967 because he wanted to study burial rites over there. And he got into this, spent months out in the bush with this tribe, and finally he had an opportunity to witness a burial. And it was a burial of someone who was very highly esteemed in another tribe. And it was a drummer. And they would go on top of the roof and would play drums, and it would communicate messages to other tribes. And so these drummers were really highly esteemed members of that tribe. Well, the drummer died, and so they were going to have a burial, and this is like a couple of days later. And they had just recently washed the corpse. It was a little gross, but it was oozing with juices and stuff, and it was really, you know, the odor was terrible. So they washed the corpse, they dressed it in burial clothing, they had it the corpse sitting up against a wall with the legs crossed, arms down, and some kind of a garment draped over the head. So he's here, and there's all these people that are witnessing this. And by the way, you can get this journal article. It's in the Journal of Anthropological Research. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's spring of 1987. And Bruce Grindle, G-R-I-N-D, I think it's A-L. The author. So he published a story in it. You can read about it. And so he goes and he's watching this, and these people start dancing around the corpse. And then he said the unthinkable happened. He saw the corpse start to move. He saw the corpse start to spasm. And then it leapt up on its feet and started dancing. And then these dancers let it up, walked up the steps of the house. And the drummer followed, walked up to the roof. The drummer picked up the drumstick, started playing, came back down, and fell down dead, or lifeless again. And Grindle said he was so shaken up, he just ran out of the camp and felt like vomiting for hours afterward. His friend caught up to him and said, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yeah." "Hey, did you see what I saw last night?" "Well, what did you see?" "Well, I saw the corpse get up and dance and play the drums and move and come back to life." He says, "Yeah, we all saw it." So he sees this like zombie, this person come back to life and fall back down. I spoke to his wife let's see, it had been 2 years ago, I think it was. Grindal died in 2012. His wife's not by any means a Christian. In fact, she doesn't like Christianity, all right? But she said he gave up his atheism at that point. And he believed in a supernatural force. So I'm not saying that that proves Christianity, but it does show a supernatural element to reality, it would seem. And apparently, I've talked to another anthropology professor, and he said that these things are occurring all over the world. This is not a unique event that Grindal reported, but it is in a peer-reviewed, published journal, where he documents what happened when he saw the dead come back to life.